Alright, so Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 2 was titled The Mines of Mandalore, and it was actually Chapter 18 in, the whole series.
Yeah.
We open on a speeder race on Tatooine, which I thought was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
We see some Rodian speaking with Peli Moto.
Yeah,
and apparently it's like Unta Eve or something.
Oh, yeah, I never
holiday.
heard of that. Do they ever mention that in
either.
the... Okay. And when the pod race is going on, you could see it's like in the streets too, which is like new.
Yeah, I thought that was neat. And then we see with Pelimoto, we see R5 from A New Hope. We know him.
Yeah.
Pit droids, and we see some Jawas. And they're all talking. Basically, Peli is like ripping off this Rodian, saying these parts are going to be super hard to find. Yeah. Then right as the Rodian leaves, the Jawas come in with the parts that they just stole from the Rodian's speeder in the first place.
It's smart, yeah.
Well, it is smart, but it's very immoral.
Yeah.
But as they're talking, Mando arrives, and we see Grogu again getting more comfortable with the Force. He Force jumps into Peli's arms because he's comfortable with Peli and everything. And Mando is, of course, looking for the memory circuit for IG-11. And Peli is basically going on saying how it's impossible to find that memory circuit, and that Mando should just take R5 instead. Yeah. She's like trying to basically sell R5 to Mando, saying, "I'll give him to you at a good price.
Yeah.
He's an adventure droid."
He's obviously very scared and everything.
Yeah, obviously not accurate at all. But Mando doesn't really have a choice, so he takes R5, and then surprisingly, we just head straight to Mandalore. Yeah. I did not think that this was going to happen that soon.
Nothing that happened with IG or anything. It was...
Yeah, no. So I guess IG is not coming back. I guess we got our hopes up for nothing. Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of surprised. I thought the whole season was going to be like a build-up to get to Mandalore, but it seems like it's going in a completely different direction. So
it surprised us, yeah.
Yeah. So he arrives at Mandalore, and we find out Mando's actually never been to Mandalore. He actually grew up on Concordia, which we've seen in Clone Wars and stuff. It's one of the moons of Mandalore. And so to get to the surface, they have to fly through the stormy atmosphere, and it like kind of messes with the circuitry and everything, and I don't know really what the word is I'm looking for, but it's like the communications.
The navigation.
That's what I'm thinking.
All that.
Yeah, all that stuff. And when they break through the storm, you can see the destroyed surface, which I thought was really cool. You can really see the destruction that the Empire did.
All the crystals and everything. It's all crystals.
Yeah, all the holes and like just the destroyed domes and everything. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then Mando comments on the magnetic field has been disrupted from the Empire's bombing even that long ago. So like they have no way to communicate. They're blocked off from the rest of the galaxy.
Yeah.
And they land there. He sends out R5 to test the air, and as they're just waiting for R5 to do his thing, he just vanishes. He goes off of the radar. He's just gone. They don't know where he went. So Mando has to pressurize his helmet and then go out and look for him.
Yeah, and Grogu's very scared about that.
Yeah, Grogu's obviously upset, doesn't want him to go. So Mando kind of heads into this little cave trying to follow the trail of R5, and then he comes upon these ruins like of one of the Mandalorian cities.
Yeah.
And as he's just admiring it, these creatures attack him. And as of right now, we don't find out what these creatures are. Later we do. But they start attacking him. They kind of...
Yeah. They fight with axes and stuff. They look like pig.
Yeah, they're...
What do they look like? They look like...
I know what you're talking about. I know the one alien that they're... I don't know if that's actually what they were, but they're basically kind of like a primitive species, kind of...
Yeah. They're using like axes and no blasters.
Yeah, they're more primitive compared to like, I guess, modern society, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But they actually beat up on Mando pretty bad because they catch him by surprise, and Mando uses the Darksaber. He whips out the Darksaber, and we see that he still kind of struggles with it. Like it's still very heavy to him and everything. But he is able to use it to kill them.
I like that a lot.
I do like that as well.
It shows he doesn't master it, which honestly he shouldn't. I don't think he should.
No, you shouldn't just get good with it right away. So I like that they're keeping the consistency. That like he wasn't as bad as he was before, I don't think, but he definitely still is not great with it. But like I said, he's still able to use it to kill the creatures and then save R5.
Mhm.
And then, so he takes R5 back to the N1, and we find out the atmosphere is safe. It is breathable. Like, all these rumors about it being poisoned and
Not
a
cursed.
wasteland and stuff.
Bo-Katan was right, and yeah.
Yep. So I thought that was very cool. I'm hoping we go back again later in the season, but
Yeah.
I don't know if we will. So he enters the ruins of the civic center of that city after he finds out the atmosphere is good. He takes Grogu with him, and they're like just venturing through all this rubble, all these tunnels in the dark and everything. We see some other creatures and stuff like lurking off in the shadows.
Little like
and
rats, not really rats, like, you know, like bigger rats, I guess you could say.
yeah, it was kind of it was. I'm trying to think of.
It's really
the
just
best way to describe it.
picture an underworld with like no people, I guess, and
Yeah,
that's kind of
I
it.
agree with that. Yeah, and there were also these weird like flying lizard, alligator-looking creatures too.
Just some
like
crazy creatures, yeah.
like kind of chilling in the sewers and like the waters and stuff.
Mhm.
And but as Mando's venturing through, he finds an old Mandalorian helmet, and he just digs it up out of the ground,
Yeah.
the, like sand or dust or whatever, and he's like admiring it. And then I'm not sure if it set off a booby trap or if it was just using it as bait, or
I think
if
the
this guy
thing was just hiding, to be honest.
he just happened to be there.
Yeah. I
like,
think he
where the
sensed
helmet
like
was.
the thing coming in, like the ship coming in, and he
Yeah.
just like sat there in the pathway, I guess.
Yeah, but Mando is basically like this giant droid, like just shoots up out of the ground, this giant mechanism thing, and just grabs Mando, and like it like injects him with something like some sedative and like knocks him out.
Yeah.
And
before he had any time to do
it's-
anything.
Yeah, he didn't even have time to do anything. And Grogu's kind of off in the distance away, and he like hides and watches it happen. And the machine like just wraps him up basically in this like cage and just kind of walks him away back
Yeah.
to this thing's lair.
Yeah.
We never actually like get a name for this thing.
We saw
but,
the eye of it. It has like one eye
Mhm.
and like a
Yeah,
hole.
to prove that it's not just a droid, it's like an
Yeah.
actual, there's an organism in there. And it's just some weird alien robot thing that actually gets out of the larger machine. And
Mhm.
it's similar, I think, to Grievous. It kind of reminds me
mechanics,
of
yeah.
Grievous a little bit.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of, and we might be able to get a picture of this for the video, but the EVA4D, which was Grievous's medical droid, it kind of had a similar face to that too.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, like Kit Fisto kills him in the one
Mhm.
Clone Wars
Yeah,
episode
yeah,
where
yeah,
they're at Grievous's lair. Like, it's not a perfect match, but like the whole Grievous
whole
kind of,
thing,
it was
yeah.
kind of Grievous themed, you know, the creature. So
And, yeah.
I thought that was very cool. But the thing goes through and it strips Mando of his weapons, like his blaster and the darksaber, just throws it to the side. Grogu sneaks up to Mando in the cage and tries to unlock the cage with the Force, but he does something wrong and it sets off the alarm. So
Yeah.
then Grogu has to run away, and Mando tells Grogu before he runs to go get Bo-Katan.
And then we get this really
And-
cool scene with
Yeah.
with Grogu like running away on his own, which is like the first time, to be honest.
We've never really seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he like is racing away in his little cradle.
Yeah, and his little
yeah.
like
He has to run
cribbed
away.
looking thing.
He has to run away from that lizard we saw before, and
Yeah.
he just zooms up, and then he also has to pass those like warrior things.
Yeah,
again.
the warrior creatures. Another one of those shows up, and he just force pushes it right out of the
Yeah.
way.
That was pretty cool. I didn't expect that, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I really like that we're seeing Grogu become more comfortable with the Force and
Yeah.
using it to his ability. I think it's very cool,
Yeah,
and it shows kind of his training with Luke paying off as well,
that's true.
which
Yeah,
I like.
and he got back to the N1, and
Yeah, he gets back to the N1. He tells he
R5.
flies back to that castle.
Yeah.
He tells R5. Well, I assume R5 just takes off by himself. Grogu doesn't actually say anything.
he points
like,
at the Navic computer. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
at the nav thing.
Yeah.
And so they take off. They arrive back at that Mandalorian castle, and that Mandalorian droid is still posted up outside. And the droid goes and notifies Bo of Mando's ship. Bo looks out the window and sees the ship coming in, and she says, "Let's get rid of him once and for all," which was pretty sinister, I think.
Oh yeah.
I was
Takes
like,
the
"That's
helmet and
wow,
everything.
okay."
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe she's gonna try to get the Darksaber back. Is she gonna kill him? Like, I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But Bo obviously goes out and sees it's just Grogu, and he learns of Mando's location through R5. They plug in R5 and they see the coordinates of where they were. So obviously they go back. Grogu leads Bo. Bo's kind of talking to Grogu. She's admiring the ruins, talking about the past and everything, like how she used to work with Jedi and stuff, which is obviously cool. Reference to like Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, which I thought was pretty sick.
I love that scene a lot, to be honest. Just her talking to Grogu on the way back.
Yeah, it was very cool. It's a cool tie-in with, like, for us Star Wars fans that have watched the other shows like Clone Wars and seen Bo interact both with Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, both against Maul, actually, which is kind of funny. But
and then they get
Bo
back
ends
to
up
Mando.
fighting some of the same.
Oh yeah,
right before they get back to Mando, Bo fights some of those same creatures again, the native creatures.
She predicted it though. She like shot the floor.
Yeah, and apparently, she sensed it or something, or could tell, which kind of makes sense because she was on Mandalore a lot. Yeah. And she reveals that the creatures are Alamites,
something like that. Yeah.
They used to live in the wastelands outside of the cities, so outside of the domes, which I thought was interesting. So that, and she also makes a comment that since they survived the Empire's bombing, she wonders what might else have survived, which kind of hints at what happens at the end of the episode, but we'll get there. Let me see here. They find Mando. Bo seems like she kills the creature. She stabs it with the Darksaber, which was very cool. I liked seeing her use the Darksaber. She was much better with it.
And it is one eye, so it's like an eye and like a brain, and that's the whole thing.
Yeah, basically, that's all it is. It's like connects to these different cybernetic things because she stabs it through the chest and it falls and looks like it dies. Then like the eye and brain part like detaches and then crawls over to the bigger mechanism robot that originally captured Mando, and then attacks Bo again, and then she's able to just destroy it too pretty easily. But
she was very good with the Darksaber.
I loved seeing her use the Darksaber. You see that she has used it before and is experienced and comfortable with it because she used it much better than Mando did.
That's very true.
But Bo is able to free Mando and they kind of escape, and then Mando wakes up and they have this little camp kind of near the surface of the near the ship and everything. Bo's kind of set up a little campfire and stuff for Mando to recover, and they talk a little bit, but then Mando still wants to redeem himself. He's like, I came all this way, I'm gonna finish what I started.
He needs to go to the waters, the waters.
Yeah, he wants to go to the living waters and below the ruins and stuff. And Bo's a little hesitant, but she's like, well, I'll go with you, because she doesn't want him to go alone, which it's kind of funny. Like, just earlier she was like, let's make him go away once and for all. But then now she's helping him. It's like, I don't know what really happened there. I don't know if it was a sinister get rid of him once and for all, or if she just wants to be alone.
There was something in that conversation they had beforehand that she might have like admired a little.
True.
I remember they were talking about...
They gain a little bit more respect for each other, I think, in this episode. Or at least she gains more respect for him, I guess is what I should say. But, she's like, okay, she's reluctant, but she says she'll take Mando to the waters, enter the mines, and Bo talks a little bit about her past, and she talks about how Bo says her father died defending Mandalore, which I thought was very interesting. I don't think we ever heard that before.
We never saw,
I thought that was very cool. And then Mando says, this is the way.
Yeah, he like stops
and like it had some nice music and stuff. Yeah. And it was kind of cool.
And you could tell she respected that too.
Yeah. And he obviously respects her and her father for like sacrificing himself for Mandalore. Like that's the whole thing. But they enter the mine. The living waters are found. We find out it's real.
Yeah.
Bo goes over to this little plaque and she reads off the history, she mentions Mandalore the Great and how the cavern itself used to be thought to be the lair of a mythosaur, which is very cool. And for those of you who don't know, mythosaur is like the little logo on Boba Fett's armor, and it's on a bunch of other Mandalorian
It's a very famous logo.
armors. Yeah,
big creature.
Yeah, we can put up a picture if we want, but it's basically identified purely with the Mandalorians, and but Bo finishes reading off the history, and Mando kind of takes off some of his gear and stuff, and then starts entering the waters, reciting the creed, which I thought was very cool. And then as he is going in, it appears as something like drags him, like grabs him and pulls him down. And then Bo jumps in after him, and that was a really cool scene too, using like the jetpack underwater to go fast. I thought that was pretty cool, but Mando's actually at the very, very bottom of like the
that
I don't
was
know
crazy,
if you want to say it like a cavern or something.
Like the big hole. To be honest, it's
basically. He's at the very bottom, and Bo grabs him and starts to like get out. And as Bo is bringing him up, we see the eye of this giant creature, and it kind of zooms out, and we can see from the light reflecting in the water that it is an actual mythosaur.
It is the mythosaur.
We actually see a mythosaur. They made it canon. We see it for the first time in live action.
And it's in the living waters.
It's in the living waters down there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I genuinely stood up in my chair. I was like, holy crap.
I didn't expect that at all. I can't believe they brought that in.
I couldn't either. And then obviously Bo, holding on to Mando, shoots up out of the water and lands back up onto the steps with Grogu. And she immediately turns back around looking at the water, and it's just her heavy breathing, like she's in shock. And then the episode cuts to black. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that they did it. I'm very happy that they did it. But
it looks so cool too.
It looks so good. Yeah, it was like, obviously it was dark because it was underwater and stuff, and I've actually seen some people complain about this episode, saying that the lighting was dark.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
They're in a cave. They're under ruins. They're in that's the point.
They have to make it realistic. Yeah,
like that's in my opinion, that's a dumb complaint.
Yeah,
because like I felt like I could still see fine too. By the way, like I don't know why people felt that way, but
I mean, if you guys really need to, you can use a flashlight while you watch.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's crazy, but the Mythosaur ending was perfect. They ended that perfectly. We had heard before the episode was released, we had heard some like hype saying that it was a groundbreaking episode for like lore.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And it definitely was.
Definitely was.
I couldn't believe it. But what would you rank this episode?
I gave it a 9 out of 10.
I also gave it a 9 out of 10. I feel like it was a very solid episode.
Yeah. And this isn't just because of the Mythosaur. It's heavily influenced on like
truly
seeing
felt
Mandalore.
Like it built the lore.
Yeah.
It pushed the story. It was everything I wanted. Like, the only reason it's not a 10 out of 10 is because a 10 out of 10 is like really hard to reach. Like, it has to it is the whole episode. I'm just like losing my mind, but
jumping up and down, like.
Yeah. Like, but this was still amazing. So definitely a solid 9 out of 10, I think. So
now,
and we're still getting Bad Batch. We're still getting more Mando. So
by the time we're recording this, the next episode has came out, and I know you have watched it, but I want to make a prediction for what happens next. Okay. So, judging by how they threw us off so much this episode, I think they're just gonna like cut back to where they are. But like, what are they supposed to do against the Mythosaur? They can't like fight. They're not gonna fight it. So really, they have to like leave. They're not gonna stay there either. I think Mando is either gonna go back to like the cult, and Bo-Katan stays at her like castle again or something. and Mando's gonna obviously talk to the armorer, and then maybe they bring Bo-Katan back and they like go back to Mandalore. Cause that would be crazy if they go back to Mandalore twice. But then again, the armorer doesn't.
I can't really say anything, obviously.
The armorer doesn't respect Bo-Katan, right?
Yeah, because she doesn't follow the way.
Yeah. So something would have to happen where like Bo-Katan is respected by them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. This might be like later episode though, where they go back.
I'll say this: you got a couple things pretty close, to be honest, but I won't say what.
Okay.
Obviously, and to the viewers, real quick, I do want to apologize that we are behind. Both of us have a lot going on between like school and work, and it's hard to balance everything in life. So we will try to get content out as consistent as possible, but sometimes we may have like hiccups like this. So we'd appreciate your patience, and we're sorry in advance.
Yep. I mean, patience is a Jedi key.
True. It is. But I just wanted to throw that out there. We know that we're behind, and it's just sometimes hard to balance like life with this. So we're gonna do our best, but we're still gonna try to get all the episodes out. They just might not be as consistent as we'd like it to be. But once we get in closer to summer and stuff, things will get better as our school and stuff gets done and whatnot. So if you did enjoy, please consider liking and subscribing. We
Helps
really
us out
appreciate
a lot.
it. Yeah, it really does.
Comment potato chip if you like potato chips.
Okay. Or you can comment, what you thought of this episode, and like, are you excited to see the mythosaur and whatnot? You can also do that instead if you want.
Or you could also comment potato chip if you like potato chips.
You can do whatever you want.
But
that's all we got, and we'll see y'all later.
See you.